So you're 32 years old. You've got a decent job making $75,000 a year. You've been saving. You're responsible with money. You're doing everything right. And you decide it's finally time to buy a house. You look at what's available in your area. Starter homes, nothing fancy, just a basic 3-bedroom, are going for $420,000. You run the numbers. At 7% interest with 10% down, your monthly payment would be $2,900. Plus taxes and insurance, you're looking at about $3,800 a month total. That's over half your take-home pay on a starter home. And your parents are looking at you like, what's taking you so long? We bought our first house at 25. Here's what they don't understand. The game has fundamentally changed. What they did in 1985 is literally impossible for you to do in 2026. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, it's because the entire system is broken. Hi there, my name is Dan, and I spend way too much time thinking about why an entire generation has been priced out of homeownership while everyone pretends it's a personal failure problem instead of a systemic crisis. If you're someone who makes good money but still can't figure out how to afford a house without destroying your financial future, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Here's what most people don't realize. It's not just that houses are more expensive, it's that everything about the affordability equation has shifted in the wrong direction simultaneously. Let me show you the actual math, comparing 1985 to 2026, because when you see it laid out, you'll understand why your parents don't get it. 1985. Median home price, $82,500. Median household income, $27,735. Mortgage rate, 12%. Yeah, it was higher, but stay with me. Price to income ratio, 3.0 times. 2026. Median home price, $385,000. Median household income, $81,000. Mortgage rate, 7%. Price to income ratio, 4.75 times. See, you say, it's basically the same percentage. Except for one massive problem, coming up with the down payment. In 1985, you needed $16,500 for a 20% down payment. That's 7 months of median income. In 2026, you need $77,000 for a 20% down payment. That's 14 months of median income, and that's if you can save every single dollar you earn with no rent, no food, no expenses. In reality, if you can save 20% of your income, it would take 1985, 3 years to save the down payment. 2026, 6 years to save the down payment. The time to save has doubled, and we haven't even talked about what happens if you can't save 20%. Look, most people in their 20s and 30s can't save $77,000. According to the Federal Reserve, the median savings for Americans under 35 is $11,250. So they put down less than 20% and get hit with PMI, private mortgage insurance. Here's the math on a 10% down payment scenario. $385,000 house, 10% down, $38,500. Amount financed, $346,500. Monthly P&I at 7%, $2,304. PMI, typically 0.5 to 1% annually, $289 per month. Property tax, $535 per month. Insurance, $242 per month. Total monthly, $3,370. That's 50% of median monthly take-home pay. $6,750 gross becomes about $5,100 after taxes. You're supposed to spend no more than 28% of gross income on housing. This is 50% of take-home. You're broke before you even start. This is where it gets really dark. Your parents didn't have this problem, but you do. Student loans. According to the Education Data Initiative, the average student loan debt for borrowers in 2026 is $37,850. At a typical 5% interest rate on a 10-year plan, that's $402 per month. So now your housing payment is $3,370 plus student loans at $402. That's $3,772 per month in fixed expenses on $5,100 take-home pay. You have $1,328 left for food, transportation, utilities, insurance, healthcare, and literally everything else. And lenders know this. When you apply for a mortgage, they calculate your debt-to-income ratio. You need to be under 43% to qualify for most mortgages. You don't qualify? You make $75,000 a year and you can't get approved for a median-priced house. Your parents didn't have this problem because college cost $12,000 total in 1985. You paid $120,000 and you're still paying it off at 32. Now you might be thinking, but Dan, why don't I just make more money? Great question. Let's talk about why that's harder than it sounds. According to the Economic Policy Institute, when adjusted for inflation, wages have grown only 12% since 1985, while housing prices have increased 367%. Let me say that again. Wages up 12%, housing up 367%. Here's a concrete example. In 1985, an entry-level accountant might make $24,000. In today's dollars, that's about $70,000. Know what an entry-level accountant makes today? About $55,000 to $65,000. They're making less in inflation-adjusted terms than someone doing the same job 40 years ago, while housing costs 367% more. The math doesn't math. This is where it gets really interesting. Productivity has increased 65% since 1985, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Workers are producing 65% more value per hour, but wages have only gone up 12%. Where did that extra 53% in productivity go? It went to corporate profits and executive compensation. According to the Economic Policy Institute, CEO pay has increased 1,460% since 1978, while typical worker compensation has increased 18%. You're working harder, producing more, and getting paid less in real terms. Meanwhile, housing costs have exploded. This isn't a personal failure. This is a rigged game. Here's another factor destroying affordability. There aren't enough houses. According to the National Association of Realtors, the U.S. has a shortage of approximately 4 million housing units. Supply and demand, when supply is constrained and demand is high, prices go up. But here's what makes it worse. About 23% of single-family homes purchased in recent years were bought by investors, not people who plan to live in them, according to Redfin data. These investors, often large corporations, are buying houses with cash, outbidding regular buyers, and then either renting them out or flipping them. You're competing against BlackRock and Invitation Homes, who have billions in cash. When you make an offer on a house with a mortgage contingency, and they make an all-cash offer $20,000 over asking with no contingencies, guess who gets the house? Your parents didn't compete against hedge funds when they bought their house. You do. Look, here's the thing nobody talks about. This isn't just a financial problem. It's a psychological crisis. According to a survey by Bankrate, 78% of millennials and Gen Z believe homeownership is part of the American dream, but only 39% think they'll ever be able to afford it. You're told your whole life that buying a house is what adults do. It's how you build wealth, it's stability, it's success. And then you do everything right. You get the degree, you get the job, you save money, and it's still impossible. That creates a profound sense of failure and hopelessness. You feel like you're falling behind. Like everyone else figured it out except you. Like maybe you're just not good enough. Except it's not true. According to the Federal Reserve, homeownership rates for people under 35 have dropped from 43% in 2005 to 37% in 2024. Millions of people are in the exact same situation as you. The system is broken, but because it's a systemic problem, everyone experiences it as a personal failure. And that keeps people isolated, ashamed, and not demanding change. Now you might be thinking, okay, so I'll just keep renting. Except renting has its own nightmare. According to Apartment List, the median rent in the U.S. increased 30% from 2019 to 2024, And it's not slowing down. If you're paying $2,000 per month in rent now, in 5 years you might be paying $2,600. In 10 years, $3,380. Rent goes up every single year, while your income barely keeps pace. The median renter spends 35% of their income on rent, according to the Joint Center for Housing Studies at Harvard. That's above the 30% affordability threshold. And unlike a mortgage, that payment never becomes equity. It's just gone. So you can't afford to buy, but you also can't afford to keep renting long term. You're trapped in a system where both options are financially devastating. All right, here's what you can actually do in 2026 if you want to buy a house without destroying yourself. Option 1. Geographic arbitrage. The median home price varies wildly by location. In San Francisco, it's $1.4 million. In Cleveland, it's $180,000. If you can work remotely or find a job in a lower-cost area, you can actually afford a house. According to Zillow, there are still 23 metro areas where the median home price is under $250,000. The trade-off is you might not live where you want to live, but you get to own instead of rent. Option 2, house hacking. Buy a duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Live in one unit, rent out the others. The rental income covers most or all of your mortgage. This is how most young people are successfully buying real estate in 2026. According to Bigger Pockets, house hacking can reduce your effective housing cost by 50 to 100%. The trade-off is you're a landlord, you deal with tenants, but you build equity for essentially free. Option 3, wait and invest. If neither option works, rent cheaply and invest aggressively. According to historical data, the stock market returns about 10% annually, while housing returns about 3.5%. If you invest the difference between your rent and what a mortgage would cost, you might build more wealth renting and investing than buying and being house poor. The trade-off is you don't get the psychological benefit of ownership, but you get financial flexibility and potentially better returns. Option 4. Partner up. Buying with a partner, friend, or family member doubles your buying power. Two people making $75,000 each can afford what one person making $150,000 can afford. According to the NAR, 15% of home purchases in 2024 involved non-married co-buyers. It's becoming more common. The trade-off is complexity and legal agreements, but it gets you into ownership. Look, I need to be honest about something. Individual solutions help individual people, but they don't fix the broken system. We need massively increased housing construction, 4+ million units. Restrictions on corporate investors buying single-family homes. Wage growth that matches productivity growth. Student loan reform or forgiveness. Zoning reform to allow denser housing. Down payment assistance programs. But these require political will, and right now housing affordability isn't treated as the crisis it actually is. So while we wait for systemic change that might never come, you have to make the best decision you can with the options you have. Buying a house is difficult for the average American in 2026 because houses cost 4.75 times median income instead of 3 times. Down payments take twice as long to save. Student loans drain $400 plus per month for most young buyers. Wages have stagnated while housing exploded. Corporate investors are buying up inventory. Both buying and renting are becoming unaffordable. Like, this isn't your fault. You're not doing anything wrong. The game is rigged, but you still have to play it, so play it smart. Consider the alternatives. Get creative, and don't let the impossibility of the traditional path prevent you from finding your own path. Hit that subscribe button if this explained why you're struggling with something your parents say should be easy. Drop a comment telling me which option you're considering, and share this with someone who feels like they're failing at homeownership when really the system is failing them. The American dream isn't dead, it's just been put on a payment plan none of us can afford. I'm Dan, and I'll see you in the next one.